Hello. Welcome back to the third episode of Agony. And just to update you, last week's episode had an update in the post. I went back, I checked. There are no new updates to that story, but I have appreciated all of the feedback and interesting conversations that came out of that topic. I know I went off, on many a tangent, and it was a bit of a touchy subject, but this week we're keeping it, I won't say PC, but we're going back to the basics, girlfriend, best friend drama, nothing major. So sit back, relax, and let's spill some tea. Alrighty, let's get into today's question. So, Home Slice is saying, am I the asshole for telling my best friend to leave my house because she showed up with my ex-boyfriend? Okay, well, there's a loads. That is a loads. I haven't read the episode, or haven't read the whole story. So, I'm curious. I want to know what happens. But I'm gathering from the title that homegirl's best friend has shacked up with her ex. And on that topic, sound off in the comments. What is your opinion on dating your friend's exes? Like, do you feel like if they're an ex of a friend that they're off limits? Or do you feel like if your friend has decided to end that relationship and that they have clearly stated that they have no interest in that person anymore, then surely they're fair game? Like, why would you sort of like cut off people and say that they're no longer an option? Why limit my choices because you may have chosen them at some point but you no longer want them now? Like, what's the dealio? I definitely understand like the betrayal of sleeping with your partner's person when they're still together, but yeah, what are your thoughts? I'm not saying that I'm pro go after your friend's person. That's not what I'm saying. I just want to know where you guys stand on this topic. Are you, fair game is fair game, or are you, let's not cross-pollinate here, Which team are you on? Okay, so let's get into the tea. I, 20 female, have a child and another on the way with my ex-boyfriend Jared, 30 male. Wow, 10-year difference. And we've been successfully co-parenting for the past 2 months. My best friend, 21 female, Sarah, has always been a big part of my life, and we've been close since high school. I had a casual meetup with my friends last month. Sarah was there too. This was Sarah's first time drinking, and she probably overdid it because she casually mentions that she's been hanging out with Jared, my ex-boyfriend, and the father of my kids, more often. I was immediately taken aback, but tried not to jump to conclusions and asked her for more information. She replied saying that they had just hit it off and that he's a cool guy. I thought it was strange considering our history and that we have only been broken up for 2 months. Not to mention we co-parent our child and have another one on the way. Sarah said it simply wasn't her problem and that she's not the one single, pregnant and broke. Oh, she's not the one that's single, pregnant, and broke at 20. This comment hurt, coming from my best friend, but I was able to keep my composure and ultimately move on after she apologized. Last Friday, Jared came over to my place to take our daughter for the weekend. He didn't mention, however, that he would be bringing Sarah too. As soon as Jared and Sarah walked through the door, I was disorientated. But I tried not to create tension in front of my daughter. I pulled them over to casually ask why they were here together. Jared and Sarah were denied being anything. Okay, maybe this is a typo. Jared and Sarah denied being anything other than friends and told me that Jared was Sarah's ride home, and Sarah suggested coming over because she wanted to see me, and my ex had to make the stop anyway. Their behavior was beginning to bother me, and I told them that I would prefer if they did not come to my house together again in future. Jared argued back, claiming that I was being controlling and he can decide who his friends are. Sarah made a comment about me that was something along the lines of, maybe if you were more fun, he wouldn't need to look elsewhere. What the hell? Okay, that was the last straw for me. My immediate response was to tell them to leave, quite loudly and harshly. Since they've left, I've been replaying the scene in my mind and just feel a mix of anger, betrayal, and sadness. The situation made me feel uncomfortable and as if my best friend didn't even care about me. But maybe I could have handled it better. It has been stressing me out, and I don't want my daughter or my baby to be affected. I have to know, am I the asshole for the way I reacted? What? No, girl. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. That's the end of the story. And you know what? I'm sad for Home Slice. I'm sad for Home Slice because Home Slice is, I guess in this case, a victim of their own choices. They chose this person as a best friend. They chose this, person as a boyfriend and now father of their 2 children. So they're just like bad at choosing people. But then considering their age as well, at 20 years old, you know nothing. Especially if this person has been your best friend since high school. You knew even less then. So obviously you're going to make stupid choices. And it's just unfortunate that, these are now the consequences of your choices, right? That you have 2 kids with someone who clearly has, a missing moral compass. But that your best friend is also, basically the same. That they're willing to betray you in this way. I think, going back to my previous question, if it is just like, honestly, this person was your ex, but like, there's no beef there, like it's just over and there are no strings attached, there's no entanglement, and then you meet them organically somewhere else and you guys kick it off and whatever, I feel like that would be more understandable than for something to be this fresh, for there to be children involved, and for the best friend to be making these snarky comments about, well, being single, broke, and pregnant, and then also saying, well, maybe if you were cool. So honestly, it seems as if the friend has an issue with Home Slice, right? That they might not even like this ex-boyfriend and they're more so doing it to get under Home Slice's skin. Maybe they're jealous of them in some way or whatever, but it doesn't seem like they're genuinely interested in Home Slice, judging by the comments that they're making, right? If you just genuinely like someone and you just really hit it off and there's something about the 2 of you that clicks, then there's really no need to drag someone else down to justify your relationship, because your feelings for them would be enough. So yeah, I definitely think that this friend Sarah is an asshole. I think the baby daddy also is an asshole because they're not being considerate of your feelings by allowing all of this to happen. And if anything, I think they may have done all of that on purpose to upset you, to get you to react, to then lord that over you at some point, right? To then make you seem like the unhinged person who can't get a handle on their emotions, who is now sort of withholding the children and parental rights and like all these different things, right? That for me at least, it seems like they did this to intentionally upset you for whatever gains. And it could also be this friend, Sarah, that, orchestrated this whole thing. That maybe Jared is an idiot and just very careless. But Sarah and her jealousy toward Home Slice could be that driving force that's saying, yeah, actually, let's go together and let's fetch the kids together and see what she says. And she's pushing this thing because there's a reaction that she's looking for. She wants to see Home Slice, distraught and falling apart, because she's gaining from that in some way or another. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I do not think that Home Slice is the asshole. These first 3 stories have been a bit on the dry side, so I'm going to try something new next week. I'm going to read the stories in advance, vet them, see if they're juicy, and I'll spend more time looking. I usually just go by the title. And if the title seems promising, I'll add it to my list. But I think now, yes, I will look for juicy titles, but I'll also consider other factors when choosing a story to make sure that we have something juicy to bite into. I want to gasp. I want to clutch my pearls while reading these stories and say, oh my gosh. So as much as this story, it pains me. It's heartbreaking. It's not giving that va-va-voom, I read a Reddit story once of this person's revenge, and it was methodical. They played the long game. It was so intense and so messed up, but low-key kind of beautiful in the end, I don't know. I admire a job well done. But yeah, I'd like stories like that, so I'll spend more time. I'm new to Reddit, if I'm being honest with you. I'm new to Reddit. So yeah, I'll spend more time looking for good stories. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you next week, be it on Monday or Wednesday. Goodbye.